The local authorities have decided to lift most of the restrictions imposed in Kathmandu Valley, including the vehicles with odd and even number plates playing on the streets. The decision is bound to give way to increased outflow of people in public places, which, according to health experts, could prove fatal, given that the country's COVID-19 infection rate is still alarmingly high. Good morning, I'm Sarah Chitrakar, and these are the headlines of the hour. Government attorney conclude hearing on the writs filed against the House dissolution. Constitutional bench whether it is justifiable for the court to appoint a Prime Minister. Public vehicles to operate in Kathmandu Valley from Tuesday despite the COVID-19 infection rate being above 20%. Restrictions on the odd-even number plate system also lifted. Provincial governments follow the centre's trend in budget implementation, fail to spend even half of the development budget. And Taliban warns that any foreign troops left in Afghanistan after NATO's September withdrawal deadline will be at risk as occupiers. The Constitutional Bench of the Supreme Court has urged legal practitioners from the petitioner's side to clarify on several issues, including questions raised over documents filed at the President's office and the impact of the possible court verdict to appoint the Prime Minister, among others. The bench asked legal practitioners to clarify in this regard before presenting their arguments after lawyers from the defendant's side completed their hearing on the writs filed against the dissolution of the House of Representatives. During the session, Justice Ishwar Khatiwada asked Senior Advocate Raman Shrestha regarding the issues raised against documents submitted to the President and sought reasons for the question raised by the defendant lawyers for including just 5 signatures in a petition of 145 lawmakers. Likewise, Chief Justice Cholendra Samsher Rana asked if a court could issue a verdict to appoint the Prime Minister. Chief Justice Rana also pointed out of possible impact over the political system and the Constitution as a whole. In his response, Senior Advocate Raman Shrestha insisted that the intention of the President and the Prime Minister was wrong to dissolve the House of Representatives. Senior Advocate Shrestha added that the dissolution of the lower house for the second time was not an ordinary decision, even after the court had already explained the role of the Prime Minister after the first dissolution earlier on 20th of December last year. Senior advocates Badri Bahadur Karki, Shambhu Thapa and Harihar Dahal have been allocated 2 hours to present their arguments today. The hearing on the writs will end after 4 amicus curiae presented their arguments for 2 hours once the hearing from the petitioner's side is over. Earlier yesterday, legal practitioners on behalf of Speaker Agni Sapkota had reiterated that the President does not have the right to verify signatures of lawmakers and had said that the lower house is a sole platform to test the majority. They argued that a party cannot issue a whip for its lawmakers in accordance to Article 76(5) of the Constitution, adding that the claim submitted by Prime Minister K.P. Sharma Oli for premiership based on the same article was unconstitutional. The country continues to reel under the coronavirus as 27 more individuals succumbed to COVID-19 yesterday, taking the country's death tally to 9,225, while the death rate stands at around 1.5%. Meanwhile, the total number of COVID-19 cases in the country has crossed 644,000 as 1,042 more individuals tested positive for the virus yesterday. The Kathmandu Valley reported 461 new cases. According to the Health Ministry, 4,876 tests through the PCR method were carried out and the infection rate now stands at 21.4%. The health authorities have pointed out that the relaxation in the prohibitory orders has contributed to the increase in the infection rate. Meanwhile, 2,552 individuals registered full recovery, taking the recovery tally to over 609,000, while the recovery rate stands at 94.5%. Based on the Health Ministry's report, currently there are 26,179 active cases, out of which 23,228 are in home isolation, 608 in intensive care units and 101 on ventilator support. The 3 district administration offices of the Kathmandu Valley have further eased restrictions on the prohibitory order, even as the COVID-19 infection rate has not gone down below 20%. The district administration offices have decided to lift the restrictions on the movement of private and public vehicles based on the odd-even number plate system effective from Tuesday. According to the decision taken by the district administration offices, public vehicles can operate without surpassing their seat capacity. Only public vehicles with at least a 25-seat capacity had been allowed to operate from last Tuesday. The 3 chief district officers of the Kathmandu Valley have also decided to allow short, medium and long-distance vehicles enter the valley after receiving permits. Most of the businesses in the valley were given permission to open from last Tuesday. However, restrictions still remain on the operation of cinema halls, party palaces, beauty parlors, saloons, gymnasiums, zoo, religious sites and educational institutions. Restrictions on their operation have been extended until 15th of July. Provincial governments have presented 4 budgets so far, including the one for the upcoming fiscal. However, these governments have exhibited themselves as very weak in the implementation part. The Karnali province government is lacking far behind among all the other provinces in this regard. The per capita income in Karnali province is limited to merely $606, while the country's average per capita income has reached $1,191. The government has been claiming that only 18.7% of country's total population is below poverty line. 29% of the population in Karnali province is below that line. Development activities in Karnali province are far behind, while almost all social development indices of the province are also very low. The province government has spent 40% of total budget in the last fiscal year, while this year around it has spent just 21% in the 11 months of the current fiscal. Budget implementation is the main basis to examine government's activities. However, most of the provincial governments have failed to implement their budget. The annual budget expenditure of Province 2, which was around 50% last fiscal year, has remained below 30% so far during the current fiscal year. The situation in Bagmati, Sudur Paschim and Gandaki provinces along with Province 1 remains no different from Karnali province and Province 2. Meanwhile, Lumbini province is in a better situation in budget implementation among the 7 provinces. Experts opine a lack of workforce, experience and a vision with governments, among others, are major factors for the failure in budget expenditure. However, based on the implementation of the budget during the past 3 years, experts opine it would be a hurry to conclude that province governments have failed in every manner and have no other option than to boost their working capacity to avoid possible criticisms. In our Public Voice segment, we had asked the local residents in Morang what preparations have the government made in order to minimize the loss of lives and properties caused by natural disasters like floods and landslides during the monsoon season. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
विपद व्यवस्थापनमा सरकारले त्यति चासो दिएको पाइदैन किनभने तराई क्षेत्रमा पनि थुप्रै डुबान हुने सम्भावना छ तर पनि खोला नालातिर बाँध दिएको छैन
नदीको छेउमा ड्याम बनाउने तारजालीले घेर्ने हैन बस्ती त्यहाँ उठाएर तलबाट उठाएर माथि ल्याउने कुनै बस्ती बसाउने उनीहरुलाई जग्गा दान गर्ने घर बनाउने अहिले सम्म चाहिँ केही पनि देखेको छैन
ठुलठुलो तारजाली लगाउने ड्याम बनाउने यताउति गर्ने चाहिँ अहिले सम्म गरेको देख्छन् टालटुल गर्ने यताउति गर्ने चाहिँ काम देखिएको छ
जताततै डुबान क्षेत्र छ भइराछ ड्यामहरु बनाएको छैन जाली तारहरु लाएको छैन सरकारले के गरेछ बरु सर्वसाधारणले बरु आफूले नै गरेका छन्
Time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. Here's the question: why have province governments failed to increase budget expenses? Your options are A. New structure, B. Lack of working capacity, and C. Tendency of not working. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And it's time now for our special segment, Off the Beat. Farmers in Ilam, popularly known as the tea garden of the country, are found to be increasingly attracted to coffee farming. After realizing that coffee farming can be equally lucrative, an increasing number of farmers in Ilam have now adopted coffee farming. According to Nepal Tea and Coffee Development Board, just over 900 farmers are now engaged in coffee farming using 91 hectares of land. Experts have also confirmed that soil in Ilam is well suited for coffee farming. A single coffee plant will start producing up to 15 kilograms of coffee, while on a brighter note, the local farmers have initiated the coffee farming campaign on their own. In the meantime, Nepal Tea and Coffee Development Board in recent time has also made the feasibility study for the development of coffee farming and has assisted in hybrid coffee plants. The board has lent financial assistance to 4 local nurseries to produce 200,000 coffee plants annually. The board has also said that infrastructure is being developed to expand coffee farming in 2,000 ropenis of land from coming year. The Kopa Hospital, operated by Bhaktapur Sub-Metropolis, has started free distribution of oxygen produced in the hospital plant to local residents in need of the life-saving gas. The oxygen plant was set up at Kopa Hospital with financial assistance from the local residents in Bhaktapur. The 10th Assembly of the Sub-Metropolis had earlier announced of the free distribution service for the local people who are in need. The family members of the patients need to get approval from the local ward office to avail for the free oxygen service. Likewise, people from outside Bhaktapur can buy oxygen from this plant at minimal cost. The hospital had set up the plant following the assistance of 12.3 million rupees, while the plant can fill 120 oxygen cylinders of 40 liters capacity. This is Sarah Chitrakar for our special segment of The Beat and Kantipur News Desk. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Good day.